You know the yo-yo, right? We've all played with one. It just goes up and down. Simple. But what if I told you that simple toy has a wild history? A story that connects ancient hunters, French royalty, and one game-changing invention. Seriously. So let's dig into the surprisingly deep journey of the yo-yo.
Okay, so let's just jump right in with the big question. What on earth does this little toy have in common with an ancient hunting weapon? I mean, really, it sounds completely nuts, doesn't it? But believe it or not, the connection is absolutely real, and that's exactly where this whole story kicks off.
So to figure that out, we've got to go way back. I'm talking long before it was ever a toy in a kid's room. Back then, the yo-yo, well, it had a completely different job to do. And when I say long, I mean long. The history here is just incredible. We're starting our journey more than 2,500 years ago in ancient Greece. Then we'll hop over to the ancient Philippines where, yeah, it was a hunting tool. And from there, it somehow lands in the fancy parlors of 18th century Europe. What a trip.
All right, so the first breadcrumbs we have actually lead us to ancient Greece. Archaeologists have literally dug up these terracotta discs that date all the way back to 500 BCE. And they weren't just for show. They found versions made of wood and metal too, which tells us they were a pretty common thing back then. Now, what exactly they were for? Well, that's still up for debate.
But here's the twist. The name we all use, yo-yo, that's not Greek at all. It comes from the Philippines. It's a Tagalog word that means come, or to return. And that return action was everything, because back in the Philippines, this wasn't a toy. It was a hunting weapon, designed to be thrown out and, you guessed it, come right back. Okay, so we've got these two ancient starting points, right? Greece and the Philippines. The big question is, how did this thing go from that to a toy that's, well, everywhere? Its journey around the world is just as wild as its origins. Well, you can pretty much picture it hitching a ride on ancient trade routes like the Silk Road. As people traded goods and shared ideas, the yo-yo went along for the journey. It spread all through Asia, and different cultures put their own spin on it. Like in China and Japan, you had artisans making these beautiful versions out of bamboo. They weren't just for fun either. They were used in performances and as toys that took some serious skill to master. Eventually, it lands in 18th century France, but they didn't call it a yo-yo. It was known as the bandolier or the quiz. And here's what's so cool. It was popular with everybody. It totally crossed social classes. You had nobles playing with it in their fancy homes, but you also had regular folks on the street having a go. There are even paintings to prove it.
But, you know, the yo-yo we all think of today, that's actually a much more recent thing. The whole story takes a massive turn in the 20th century, and it's all because of one person.
And that guy's name was Pedro Flores. He was a Filipino immigrant who came to the US, and he brought with him not just his suitcase, but a deep cultural understanding of the yo-yo and an idea. An idea that was about to change absolutely everything. So the year you need to remember is 1928. That's the year Flores opened his own yo-yo company right here in the States, and it just exploded. It kicked off this huge national craze. But his success wasn't just about making a bunch of them. No, it was all about one single, brilliant tweak to the design.
Okay, this is the game changer right here, so pay attention. Before Flores, the string was just tied tight to the axle. That meant it could only go up and down. That's it. But what Flores did was so simple, yet so brilliant. He didn't tie it. He just looped the string around the axle. And that one tiny change meant the yo-yo could spin freely at the end of the string, for the first time ever.
And that free spinning ability, that's what made the legendary sleeper trick possible. All of a sudden, the yo-yo wasn't just this boring up and down thing anymore. It could hang out, spinning at the end of the string, which opened up a whole universe of new, complex tricks. It was a total revolution.
Now, an innovation that good doesn't go unnoticed. It caught the eye of this entrepreneur, a guy named Duncan. Duncan saw the potential, bought the company from Flores, and then just went all in on marketing. He started these huge yo-yo contests all over the country and basically turned Flores' brilliant invention into an iconic American craze.
So now that people could do all these incredible tricks, the yo-yo started to change again. It was leveling up. It wasn't just a toy anymore. It was becoming a real, honest-to-goodness competitive sport.
And today, competitive yo-yoing is no joke. It's a serious global sport. You've got massive events like the World Yo-Yo Contest, where competitors, they call them throwers, pull off these absolutely mind-blowing, complex routines. They're blending insane technical precision with real artistry, all choreographed to music. This isn't just a hobby, folks. It's a high-skill performance art. So, after all this, after centuries of change and evolution, why are we still so fascinated by this simple object? What is it about the yo-yo that gives it such staying power? Let's break down the magic.
It really boils down to 4 key things. First, it's so simple to start. Anyone can learn the basics, right? But mastering it, that can take a lifetime. It's got that perfect, easy-to-learn, difficult-to-master hook. Second, you can take it anywhere. Then there's the community aspect, all the clubs and contests and online groups that bring people together. And finally, it never gets stale. There's constant innovation, with new materials and designs that keep pushing the limits of what you can do.
When you think about it, the yo-yo is so much more than just a spool and a string. It's kind of amazing, really. Its journey proves how a simple object can weave together different cultures and connect generations. It's like this one continuous thread, stretching all the way from ancient Greece in the Philippines to a world championship stage today.
And that just leaves us with one last thing to think about. If the yo-yo story teaches us anything, it's that the most ordinary things can have the most extraordinary histories. So, take a look around you. What simple object sitting in your room right now might be the next global sensation with a secret history we can't even imagine?